Council of Europe. We know that this is the second day of the conference with 40 countries and 18 international organizations participating. What are the results that we can see so far? About 10 or 15 minutes ago, Mr. Denis Shmyhal, the co-organizer, and Mr. Agassiz, and also the ambassador of the United Kingdom, Ms. Mezentseva, who has just passed here, they have announced the so-called Declaration of Lugano. Today we are summarizing the outcomes of the event, but not everyone knows that the second working day opened by the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, and the text of the declaration contains the following principles, 7 of them. The principles upon which the further work will be based, as the Prime Minister has mentioned, it's going to begin in just 4 minutes because many issues have been decided yesterday already. Many partner countries have already selected the regions they are going to support. For instance, my region of Kharkiv will be getting support from the USA and the Turkey. As of today, Kharkiv region has received considerable humanitarian aid from Switzerland. Zurich Insurance, a private company, has provided 207 tons of humanitarian aid. These are foods and children's formulas. Over 60 organizations and charity funds were distributing this humanitarian aid in the territory of Kharkiv. Such projects should continue. We were discussing not only the energy crisis and energy efficiency, but by the way, over 150,000 buildings require some kind of infrastructure, and we need to discuss the new energy efficiency. Therefore, it's important to mention the presentations of Mr. Boychenko, the mayor of Mariupol, also the mayors of Dnipro, of Lviv. So also it's also important to communicate the needs from the field. For instance, the needs to provide heating for the building in case our power plants will be attacked by the occupiers. Also the windows that need to be replaced, and this can be ensured by Western companies to make sure that quality construction materials are provided for the construction projects in Ukraine, in the regions impacted by the Russian invasion. And it was also approved by the Parliament last year that there should be some criteria for the quality of construction materials. And there is also an important draft law considered in the first reading already, the one about the newly constructed buildings with the bomb shelters included. There is a picture you can see on the screen. This is what people participating in this forum can see. The film shows destructions entailed by Russia. Just a 15 minutes long film, but it leaves people deeply impressed. I could see many people watching it, and our task, despite some of the accomplishment in this forum, we still understand that $95.5 billion of destructions and about $5 billion that we need monthly to support the current economy of the country, to pay salaries to the doctors, teachers, military, etc., everyone who's taken part right now in ensuring victory and in the restoration of Ukraine. Surely we as government should cover this need. So we were speaking to the World Bank, to the Reconstruction and Development Bank. It's very important for the reconstruction to be happening today, and as Mr. Zelensky has mentioned in his speech in the beginning of the forum, international partners are kind of weaving this fabric of a partnership, this fabric of life with their contributions. We understand that these funds will surely be the funds staying in the Ukrainian economy, not some kind of loans that we will have to give back. Another important element here, the one that's discussed in the bilateral meetings, is the issue of cheap loans. For instance, UBS, the well-known Swiss bank, partnering with Impact Ukraine, which is based here in Ukraine, here in Switzerland as well. It's been working for 2 months already, paying salaries to small and medium enterprises which have recently launched their business activities. The intention is to support them, to make them able to pay taxes, and this is yet another component that was discussed here. Of course, we understand how the banking right now is heavily impacted. We cannot count on, let's say, the card transaction payments can go down, although they did go down over the times of the war. Specifically, speaking of requirement interchange, something that I was working on. And again, our partners are going to keep supporting us. It's very important for us not to have any pause during the summer. Our partnerships need to keep on going. We are right now working on the economic part of the forum, and also I will attend Zurich tomorrow to continue the humanitarian aid program in terms of food. Also, there were some projects about sports infrastructure, for instance, the Polytechnic University in Kharkiv that has been heavily damaged, or the schools, or the hospitals, or other social infrastructure facilities. We could see the numbers, and our partners could see them too. Over 35% of the residential buildings and 33% of the infrastructural buildings were destroyed. And it's very important that even in the temporarily occupied territories, there are some countries interested in restoring them after liberation. And also, as it was mentioned by Minister Chernyshov, there are these local partnership projects, or the sister projects, such as, let's say, Kyiv region partnering with some lands in Germany. It's very important, and it is also supported by the national parliaments, with which we are always staying in contact. This is welcomed. I mean, such local partnerships, district-to-district support, and I'm sure that at this forum we were able to share the message about the current state of affairs in Ukraine, sharing that Ukrainian cities, no matter where they are geographically, are under constant attack of the Russian Federation, either actually or potentially. And I was also lobbying the uh, national interests and the interests of Kharkiv region specifically, the region bordering on Belgorod region from where the Iskander missile are coming each night. And it's not really funny anymore because the residents of Kharkiv already got used to the schedule. They are following the news updates. They are happy to survive each night. We are going to keep on engaging African partners and the Near East and Asian partners. So the food crisis is touching upon them too. We do understand that Russia's taken part in the negotiations concerning the blocking of Ukraine's grain can actually result in even higher numbers of grain blocked. So we want this to be an opportunity to get support from the NATO, maybe in terms of demining the water routes from the ports of Odessa and Mykolaiv through Romanian waters, having the possibilities to demine waters, and we also discussed the issue of the 300,000 square kilometers of the newly mined territories of Ukraine. So we are in this regard supported by our partners in terms of technical equipment and additional training provided to those who want to join the demining operations. One more important aspect of rebuilding Ukraine is justice. Therefore, we were discussing the war tribunal about the fact of aggression. This is supported by every international partner, and we will keep on bringing delegations to for them to get introduced to what was happening in our territories, and also using the tools of interparliament connections and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Sir Anton Koronets, who is responsible right now for this area of work with support of the Office of the President connections to make sure that the crimes registered right now in over 25,000 criminal cases under national legislation and also in over 12 countries of Europe under their jurisdiction. We'll try to make sure that these destructions of property, social infrastructure, rape, torture, and other kinds of crimes should entail accountability for the perpetrators. Right now, I'm speaking to your audiences. It's very important to get these crimes recorded. There are over 15 different hotlines. Please use this opportunity. If you are aware of any facts of this kind, they need to be reported, and the victims should be supported. I call upon empathy. Ukrainians, if you are aware of such facts, you need to make them available. Otherwise, we will not accomplish accountability. Yesterday we heard about the new amounts of support for 10 years. Do we have the understanding of the amount and the structure of the use of this money? I believe the main areas have been described by me already. The amount can increase. So yesterday we heard about 900 million, not 750. So again, becoming a candidate, an EU candidate country, we can also get additional funding of up to 3 billion euros, and as Ursula von der Leyen has mentioned previously, she welcomed the establishment of an additional fund in order to restore and support Ukraine. So we can consider some specific industries such as digitalization, and Mr. Fedorov has shown how digitalization was happening prior to the war and how it's happening right now. And of course, it was very important to mention the issue of military support, but still, it's also linked to the rebuilding of Ukraine. Again, it was not something discussed too heavily here, but in the bilateral meetings happening here by our delegations, this was one of the subjects of conversation. So we cannot tell that we have any amount of money approved. It's something that indeed has been approved by some documents, but there can be additional money provided through bilateral cooperations, because these support for the specific regions of Ukraine, I believe this will be the trend that's going to grow. And also there is a big private sector. It's difficult to even assess how much people are ready to contribute to Ukraine's economy. Specifically, speaking of the IT companies benefiting from our tax reforms, and many more international companies being interested in this development. Despite of the war, the numbers keep growing, and if you permit, this will be the end of this description, but again, the amount needs to be reviewed and needs to be enlarged. Dear colleagues, your questions? Hello, I'm Angelina Strashkulich, Ukraine Forum. My first question is about the conference in Lugano. You have mentioned that some countries have already selected the regions to support. So can you name some more countries that are ready to get involved? I have mentioned the Kharkiv region. Sorry for focusing on my native region, but of course, different states of the United States of America and Turkey are going to support it, but also there are negotiations with Iceland, Ireland, the countries that are geographically far away, and of course the United States are not very close, and the Denmark, France, Germany, all the partners, some of them, I mean, are ready to work for some potential developments, and some of them are ready to invest money right now. So it's better to discuss these things once the projects are already signed and approved. And I'm speaking of the local level because the Ministry of Territories has probably not tried to get the partnerships. Of course, it's going to grow, and there are other countries supporting other regions on top of Kharkiv. So Mariupol, for instance, will be restored by Greece because of the Greek community that lived in Mariupol. This idea emerged back in the times of the attack on the drama theater. We had colleagues in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. But again, let us be real and speak about some concrete agreements and actions once they happen. We have the tasks related to deoccupation. Our partners could see how partnerships can lead to successful reconstruction. I believe that many international companies are interested to get involved using their resources, but again, the national businesses also should be kept in mind. In terms of glass, for instance, we are dependent on supplies from the West, but still, the plants in Kharkiv and Kyiv region are ready to take part in the manufacturing to make sure that these materials become available. Of course, it's best to have the materials provided to us free of charge, and we had the discussion of establishing a new plant in Lviv or Vinnytsia region. A question about your parliament activity. You are the deputy head of the Committee on European Integration. Can you please tell how many draft laws Ukraine needs to approve for the European integration? Which percentage you already have in your committee, and how many of them can you have approved by the end of the year? Well, we have developed together with Mr. Fanishina, the head of the officer on Euro integration, the roadmap of about 30 integration drafts on different technical areas. We, as Euro Integration Committee, are analyzing if they meet or don't meet our obligations concerning Euro integration, 63% of which we have accomplished. So there were, for instance, anti-violence drafts, such as ratification of the Istanbul Convention. Also, the long-awaited waste processing legislation. Again, this is something that was connected with different challenges and scandals, so we can now proceed with the local implementation of those recycling and reuse of waste. So this is a big issue as well. Also, we intend to have additional 80 laws approved, but 13 is a more realistic number. Ukrainian parliament will continue its work, and I have recently spoke to the speaker of the parliament, so each agenda, daily agenda of the parliament will have some of the European integration laws included as well. The European Integration Committee works weekly, sometimes twice a week. That's because we have over 95% of the legislative initiatives processed by us. Speaking of some particular numbers, well, it's difficult to tell at the moment because well, the prospects are to have those 30 laws by the end of December, but certain laws would make a considerable boost to the completion of our obligations, like up to 1 or 2% of each law, but this of course needs to be assessed by the experts as well. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for speaking us from there, from Lugano. This was Maria Mezentseva, Member of Parliament. Thank you so much, dear journalists, and our next briefing is going to take part at 2 p.m. We are going to speak to the speaker of the Odessa Regional Administration, and we will learn about the security situation in Odessa region. Thank you.